Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Ria Sidhu.
And I am Praise DTEP. Here are some of the stories we are following this morning from On the Record Newsroom.
The search is on for a new president of TMU. Mohamed Lashmi has been in the job for a decade and his term is coming to an end. So how do universities choose a new university president? Well, we're about to find out. Our reporter Mariela Torroba Hennigen joins us. Hi Mariela, thanks for joining us. So how does it work?
Thanks for having me, Ria. So as you can imagine, choosing a new president doesn't just happen in 5 minutes. It's a long process. I began my reporting for this story by interviewing Mark Schroeder. He's the vice president of the Canadian Association of University Teachers, the CAUT.
Okay, and what did he tell you?
He emphasized that point of how this whole undertaking is a very long and labor-intensive process. His words, not mine. While there's no standard procedure across all universities, there are some consistencies, steps that most universities will follow. For example, usually, once the Board of Governors starts to think of the next president, they create a search committee. And again, usually this happens in coordination with the University Senate.
And how is that committee put together?
It's not so much put together, but rather appointed by the Board of Governors. At least that's been the case this time at TMU. Schroeder also told me that in other cases, universities may hire a search firm to launch this process. But he said that's a bit of a red flag for the CAUT.
How come?
Well, although he didn't get into specifics, I would infer that a lot of these executive search firms have big corporate clients, and that's often a red flag for public post-secondary education or any public sector in general. I've contacted the Presidential Search Committee about this via email late last week, but I haven't heard back.
Okay, and once a search committee is put together, what are some of the challenges going to be?
Well, for sure, everybody knows these are challenging times, and we've been saying that since 2020, even longer. But a new president is going to have to deal with, for example, restriction in international student admissions, which, remember Ria, they pay much higher tuition fees. Another challenge is stagnant funding or even reduced funding, and cuts to programs in some places, and layoffs for staff and faculty.
Well, that sounds like a lot to deal with, am I right?
Oh yeah, it truly is a lot to deal with. Honestly, Ria, the post-secondary scene, especially here in Ontario, has been struggling a lot for the past few years. Premier Doug Ford's government first froze domestic tuition fees in 2019, soon after taking over from the provincial Liberals. And those fees haven't changed since, while the costs of running a university of college have increased.
Okay, and where are things now with the search process?
This week, the committee was set to hold 2 town halls. The one for faculty, that was yesterday, but we couldn't go because I'm not faculty.
So when is the student town hall happening?
Well, I first started working on the story a few weeks back, and the website said it was supposed to happen today in the early afternoon. But then a week ago, I browsed again, and the meeting had disappeared altogether from the website, and it hasn't been reposted.
Do we know why?
This is something I'm looking into, Ria, and I hope to find the answer. My story will be posted on our OTR website later this week, where people can read more about all of this process and hear more from President Lashmi himself as he enters the end of a decade-long era serving in this position. 10 years ago, TMU was still known as Ryerson.
Yeah, 10 years ago. I don't know what I wasn't hosting a newscast 10 years ago. I was in the 5th grade. Anyways, thanks for joining us, Mariela.
Thanks, Ria.
An elderly woman died at a TTC station yesterday after being crushed by a bus. It happened at Royal York Station in Etobicoke. Police say the woman was trying to board the bus as it was pulling away. Emergency crews were called, but she was pronounced dead. Her name has not been released. She was 78 years old.
A stabbing in Cabbagetown last night. A man is in hospital with serious injuries. It happened at Wellesley and Bleecker. That's just east of Sherbourne. Whoever did it fled the scene. A police investigation is underway.
Now let's have a look at the other stories we are working on today and this week in our On the Record newsroom. Standing by in the newsroom is Janna Abbas. Janna, what have you got for us today?
Thanks, Praise. While some students may be getting ready for Reading Week, our reporters remain hard at work. AI is on just about everyone's mind right now, but what about AI in music? Our reporter, Mariela Torroba Hennigen, we saw her earlier in the show, she's going to have a story about how AI has been busy composing actual soundtracks. Stay tuned for that story on our website later this week. And Peel Police have launched a new hate crime unit. If you're wondering, why now? Well, you're not the only one. Amulia Diwedi is looking into it for us. She'll be asking why Peel Region feels the need for a new hate crime unit and what community struggles have led to the decision. The federal government is giving a boost to French-speaking students. It has announced 8,000 new work placements across Canada. Our reporter Survi Sani explores what this means for French-speaking students in Toronto, in an English-dominant job market. That story will be up on our website also later this week. That's all from me right now, from right here in the OTR newsroom. Back to Ria and Praise in the studio.
Thanks, Janna. The verdict in a fraud case involving Toronto's St. Michael's Hospital is set to be delivered today. Former St. Michael's executive Vas Georges was charged with fraud over the hospital's $300 million redevelopment contract. He allegedly awarded the contract to former Bonfield CEO John Aquino based on their friendship. Prosecutors say both men communicated secretly during the selection process. Both men pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of fraud, but the trial is still ongoing and we are waiting on an update.
A high school football game in Caledon turned into chaos on Friday evening. Caledon police were called to Humberview Secondary School after reports of pepper spray being used, several altercations, and students being taken to the hospital. Additional officers were called in to manage multiple incidents, including reports of alleged weapons and fights in and around school grounds. This all took place on Friday around 8 p.m. during a Friday Night Lights game, which was in celebration of the school's 50th anniversary. The event was later shut down due to safety concerns and the large number of attendees.
The annual Nuit Blanche event took place overnight on Saturday. Our reporter, Janna Abbas, who we just saw a minute ago reporting live from the newsroom, she took along a camera and captured some images from Nuit Blanche for today's show. One of the artists whose work Janna captured explored the disappearance of a number of iconic old gay and lesbian clubs in Toronto. The installation was called Disappearing Acts. The artist Nina Jaffers Levitt, a visual arts prof at York. Her work displayed long-gone clubs, such as Fly-By Night in the Church and Wellesley neighborhood, that's the gay village, and the Beaver, which closed just 5 years ago. Several hundred people came out to Sankofa Square on Saturday evening to have a look. Some of the city's legendary queer DJs played for the crowd, mimicking the environment of the featured clubs.
Some sad news. Petal the hippo has died. The Toronto Zoo euthanized the 39-year-old hippo over the weekend. In a social media post, the zoo announced that Petal had been declining in mobility and overall quality of life due to ongoing health issues. Petal was described as having a larger-than-life personality. There will be a post-mortem at the Ontario Veterinary College at the University of Guelph. Rest in peace, Petal.
And now to a regular weekly feature, that's entertainment. This week, we're joined by Mariam Kourabi. What you got for us, Mariam?
Thanks. Well, the entertainment world has been nothing short of entertaining. A swift start to the week included a Taylor Swift album drop titled The Life of a Showgirl. Kind of a boring name, similar to the reaction many of her fans are having. However, the box office results, absolutely bonkers. The event brought in $34 million domestically in its 3-day run and more than $50 million globally. That is thanks to a recent engagement that has gotten the engagement numbers high. Next up, when one door closes, another hair salon opens. Nicole Kidman, the famous Australian and American actress and producer, stepped out at Paris Fashion Week, debuting a stunning new look. It's her first public appearance since splitting with the country singer Keith Urban. And the verdict, a breakup Bob has never looked this good. The couple were married for 19 years and they have 2 teenage girls together. It's university application time, not just for you, but for the Lopez kids as well. Jennifer Lopez opened up about her twins Max and Emma, who are preparing for college. Yes, you heard that right. Jenny from the block now has kids ready for dorm life. And no, we're not okay about it either. The duo is unsure about what they want to commit to, so that should help you feel a bit better about your decision making too, or failure of. That's it from me. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Mariam. Okay, this week in sports. Once again, there's only one place to start, and most viewers will know what it is. OTR's very busy Mariela Torroba Hennigen takes us there. Hi, Mariela.
Hi, Ria. Hi, Praise. That's right. The Blue Jays are absolutely on fire. On the weekend, they absolutely embarrassed the New York Yankees. 10-1 on Saturday, 13-7 in the Sunday game. By the way, that's not my word, embarrassed, I mean, although it could be. In fact, that's the word that the New York Times chose for its headline. We can imagine there are a lot of New Yorkers who are having a hard time swallowing their back-to-back defeats at Rogers Stadium. Thanks to their historic win, those back-to-back wins, the Jays are a little more comfortable heading to New York. Rookie pitcher Trey Yesavage set a new team record for strikeouts in a playoff game, 11 in all. The old record was 8 strikeouts, and in fact, that number was reached by 3 previous pitchers in 4 previous playoff games. Game 3 of the series is being played at Yankee Stadium tonight. The Blue Jays are aiming to sweep the best-of-5 series, and that can happen tonight. Elsewhere in sports, the World Para-Athletics Championships wrapped up this weekend in New Delhi after a week of competition. Canadian athletes brought home 9 medals in total, 3 gold, 1 silver, and 5 bronze. And for soccer fans, which is everybody in the world, right? Next summer's World Cup is going to be played using the Trianda. That's the name of the tournament ball. FIFA and Adidas have revealed the ball design and how it got its name. Tri for the 3 host nations, us, Mexico, and the States, and onda is Spanish for wave, but it's also slang for what's up. Que onda, people? Here in Canada, we can look forward to seeing the maple leaf featured for the first time on a World Cup tournament ball. And another first in World Cup ball design, the Trianda has been tested to withstand different climate conditions. With matches taking place in 16 different cities, that was probably a good idea. Meanwhile, here in Toronto, the city is looking for volunteers to work the World Cup. Anyone living in the city and over the age of 18 is eligible. Tickets are already on sale and they are unaffordable. If you're lucky enough to still be able to find non-resale tickets, well, prices start at around 1,500 Canadian dollars. But if you're feeling flush, why not splash out for some of the best seats at BMO? Come on, the best seats are in the $20,000 to $30,000 range, and even higher. Sign me up. Actually, don't. I'll be quite happy to watch all the matches from my home or a pub, and even happier to avoid the commute, which is guaranteed to be a treat. Okay, Praise and Ria, back to you.
Mariela, how would you do that? We just saw you doing a sports segment, and now you're here at the desk. What's your getup?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Ria. Picking up from where I left off at my sports roundup, Dale campeón, vamos Argentina!
Mariela, you're a journalist. You're not supposed to be a fan.
Well, yeah, but I just can't help myself. By the way, I'm not just a fan of Argentina, I am Argentine myself, and also a little bit Brazilian, but for footballing purposes, we'll leave that part out. So I gotta enjoy this while I still can, you know, because Argentina, the Albiceleste team, we're holders of the World Cup, and who knows how it's gonna go next summer.
Okay, there we go. For On the Record News, I'm Ria Sidhu.
And I am Praise DTEP. Join us for On the Record next week as we round up the latest stories from the OTR newsroom.
And for the latest 24/7, visit our website, ontherecordnews.ca. Have a great day.